Hello and welcome to Cheltenham International Film Festival 21. I'm Festival Director Leslie Sheldon, and I'd like to welcome Piotr Domalewski, Director of I Never Cry. I Never Cry is one of 5 films shortlisted for Best Film Emerging Director at the festival. Piotr, welcome. I've watched I Never Cry twice, and I've been dying to ask you as the first question, how did you cast this film? Because Sofie Staffier, I hope I pronounced that correctly, who plays the part, is absolutely wonderful in this role. So what was the process and how did you cast the film?
Well, it was a long process actually, because at the beginning we started with a self-tapes kind of a casting that young actresses were sending it to us, but we were not looking only into professional actresses. We were also looking between people that are interested in cinematography and playing and acting, in general. So there were like 1,200 videos sent. And it was a difficult process to watch them all because, it's like you can imagine, we spent several days only watching because I wrote a monologue, the audition, because I used to be an actor and I was always tired with sending those tapes when you are participating in kind of a dialogue that, it doesn't tell too much about you. So I wrote a dialogue, a hypothetical dialogue, when our main protagonist, Ola, is at the police station answering questions about this accident that happened in the first scene.
Mm-hmm.
She was, And it was, of course, it was not in the script, but I wanted the whole character to be, described there through the emotions and sentences and words that they were supposed to tell and say, and we just made a top list. About 60 people come, and we started the live auditions. They were 5 stages of live auditions, because the problem, it was like, it needed me to be very, brave about this casting, because.
But what were you looking for?
I was looking for some kind of naturality. I wanted her to be, of course, she as a person, she's really different than the protagonist from the film. But I was looking for some energy. I was looking for some wrath. I was looking for some anger and power. But also, she had to be very gentle, and she had to be emotional at the same time, which was very difficult. And it appears that she was the one. I mean, she appeared on the first audition. That's a funny story. She loves to tell that story, because she got messages about 2 auditions. One was for a slapstick romantic comedy, and the second one was for our film. And when she appeared on our casting, she thought that she is taking part in the casting for this romantic comedy, which she really didn't want to take part in. So she was really pissed off. She wanted to get there, say those words, get the recording, and go home. And at the beginning, she had this kind of impact of energy, you can imagine, when she was in that space.
Yeah.
So that was, and it appears that it's something that completely suits to our film. And it was a difficult process, because as you know, producers usually are afraid of first-time actresses playing such, or actors playing such big part in the film. But I said that I will handle. I mean, I will handle work, and it cost us a lot of work, of course, not only on set but before set. And but yeah, I'm really happy about this cooperation. Really
Well,
happy.
she was brilliant. I noticed how, because I also studied acting as well, and it's quite important for me. And as you say, she took such a big role. Her reactions were wonderful. The way that she would react to other actors, whether it be surprise or anger or sympathy. You could almost say she was a natural actress.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
like it. I mean, I love this kind of dramaturgian engine for the whole film. I mean, my first film, Silent Night, really based on pretty much the same kind of acting, like very natural,
Yes.
very
Yes.
being in the place, being, I don't know, but I just really like it. I mean, it's kind of a documentary, and I also like this style of filming, that it's
Yes.
kind of a part of it.
I also noticed, before we go on to the film, you mentioned acting. You had Arcadius Jakubik played in both films. In I Never Cry, he played the, well, he was sort of in charge of the Polish community
Yes.
in Ireland. He's a very good actor. Why have you worked with him? Do you know him?
No, I didn't know him before Silent Night, but somehow I found it during our work. I found him really. He's so how to say that, he can actually play everything, from the junkie, alcoholic, to the intelligent,
Yes.
to the criminal. He's
Yes.
so flexible. He's so his amplitude is so wide, if I can say so. And on the other hand, I feel some kind of emotional relation with him. We are not that, common friends or whatever, but there is some connection that I cannot simply explain between us.
Obviously, you're working with somebody like him who's a professional, consummate actor, and then you're working with Sophia, who's new. So how do you as a director approach that? And are you a director that does many takes, or do you like to do one take, or do you work differently with different actors depending on who they are? How do you work?
To be honest, I completely work differently with different actors, because I used to be an actor myself, and I know that it's not the common rule that you have, like a main rule that you can say to all your actors to direct them correctly or to inspire them to play. You have to find the solution, the key for each person, for each person, because they are actors, but they are also humans. And so I work completely differently. I'm just trying to find out what is the best key for everybody, what is the best way of doing this process, to going through this process, because sometimes you can really make a mistake, because if you think that you can use one rule for everybody, because it appears that for one actor it works perfectly, but the other one is really furious about that.
So when you did it, when Sophia and Arcadius were working together in scenes, was it ever that you had to do many takes because, let's say, Sophia as a new actress was perhaps not what you were expecting, whereas Arcadius would do it in one take or two takes? And you said it was a lot of work. Did you have to do a lot of takes in some of those scenes?
It was a funny thing, because they were like, from the first time they met on the set, they were really good partners. I don't know how to explain that, but
chemistry.
Yeah, there was kind of chemistry. I mean, Arek has two sons, and they are exact age as Zofia is. So he really knows this kind of language that he has to communicate with people younger than him and that younger. And there was kind of a, I remember after first camera angle, because we were changing angles, so it was not after first scene, but it was after first angle. We were smoking cigarettes, or I don't remember. No, he's not smoking. So we were doing something, and he told me, "Yeah, she's okay." And in you know, heard something like that from such an experienced actor.
Yes.
Meant for me a lot, and
Yes.
like, you know, made my I was really sure about her at this particular moment, because he was like, she's really good.
No, I could see that.
Yeah.
In terms of moving on from the acting to the story, I was going to ask what drew you to the story. Now, as I explained to you before we actually started the recording, I know the Polish film industry, and I know Polish filmmakers quite well. And this subject I've seen before, the subject of immigration, where Poles come to Europe and they find it's a very tough time for them. And this seems to be a subject which keeps coming back. And I wondered what it was that drew you to I Never Cry.
Well, about immigration, so it's an interesting thing that we have. Each generation has its own wave of immigration. For example, my parents' generation, the immigration direction was United States, Canada. That was it was a communism then, so they were like flying as far as it's possible. And for my generation, Holland, Belgium, and especially for people from my high school and from my town, was UK and Ireland. Because of the political conditions, European Union and so on, but that was the direction. And so it was very important for me, because my brother is an immigrant. He lives in Edinburgh right now.
Yeah. But when I've read some scripts by Polish filmmakers, and of course I've seen I Never Cry, and the approach always seems to be showing the downside, if you like, that how tough, how hard it is for people, let's say young people from Poland who come to the UK and Ireland and to work, and they really find it very tough. And this seems to be a core theme of some of the scripts and films that I've seen, and it was the same with you. What is your attitude towards this subject?
Well, I like to gently modify this mood. Let's call it general mood of Polish scripts and stories, because my protagonists, they are always facing some difficult situation and obstacles and life twists, but they are handling that. I mean, they are showing that they are tough, more or less. And the same case is with Zofia, because she's like, somehow she grown up during her adventures in the film. The same case is in Silent Night, my debut film. And I don't know. I mean, I don't like this wave of poverty porn, which is really common about Eastern European, Romanian. Maybe not Turkish, but yeah, I think Romanian, maybe Hungarian cinematography, because sometimes it's too much. It's just overdrawing the picture. We are people. We are members of Europe, not only geographically, but also in this cultural and economical way. But still, we have some, issues and troubles, and that's what I am trying to show. And basically I'm trying to portray a Polish society using those simple and gentle protagonists. They are not busy.
I sometimes get the feeling that it's saying to people in the UK, and this one was in Ireland, that we should appreciate what people who are coming from Poland and other Eastern European countries are contributing to the economy, what they're bringing, and perhaps we're not always respectful of that. It comes across to me.
I think that it's like, it's a common thing. It's the same all over the world. For example, it's the first time in the history that Poland has a big immigration wave from Ukraine.
Yes.
And the funny thing is that we are completely unaware how big impact on our society, on our budget, finances of the country they do. Because it's so many of them. They are just not aware, because they look as the same as we look. So they cannot, it's always things like that always works in big numbers, and if you want to set a big number, you have to count something, but how you can count it? As a regular normal guy, it's difficult.
We take it for granted.
Yeah.
So, but when did you do a lot of research? Because the scenes with bringing the father back, all the paperwork, all the documentation, you seem to have understood and known a lot about this.
Yes.
With this research.
Yeah. I mean, I'm making a lot of research in all branches and in all topics and subjects that appears in the cinematography. So, for example, I made a research about, living with a disabled child, because there was this brother who was disabled. Second thing, I made a big research, which was pretty easy for me because my brother was a physical worker in Belgium, Holland, Scotland, and in Norway, I think. So those barracks she is visiting, they are one-to-one portrayed for the thing that I've seen when I visited him 10 years ago or 5, I don't remember. So I'm making a lot of, and especially the very important thing was to make this whole issue about getting the body or the ashes from back, to be as realistic as it's possible. And of course the process is not, let's call it, it's not sexy in this cinematography language, but still it had to be there, because that's the thing. It's kind of complicated. The one thing I really like about UK funerals and ashes and everything is that there is the coroner, and he can set the investigation after the death, and it can take it can take even 6 months. So Polish people find this way that they are taking a temporal act of death, sign of death. They are taking the body, buried them here, but the investigation is still going on. So people are, dealing with the situation as they can. So I was really into it, and a lot of conversations with the Polish authorities there, because we met. We've been to Polish embassy in Dublin, and it was extremely interesting. We were there for half an hour, and I think I spent it there something about 7 hours just talking to the people there, and, listening to those stories. They're pretty sad, actually.
I think that the cost of the funeral, which is one of the key parts of those scenes, would resonate with many people in Britain, because it's a big subject in the UK about the cost of dying. And it really is very, very expensive. And it's a subject that resonates with many people. It resonated with me, I must say. But tell me, what would you like the takeaway to be from the film? You know, when people exit a cinema, they talk about the film, they may talk about what restaurant they're going to go to. They talk about many things, but what would you like people to talk about as they're exiting the cinema? What would you like the takeaway to be?
Well, I know that it may sound strange, but I always like my viewers to be kind of not sad, but optimistic after the film ending. Because in my opinion, I really like this kind of dramaturgical engine that the main protagonist is getting what he wants in the end of the film, but not the way he expects that. So her dream was to basically drive the car with her father, and she did that.
Yeah.
And she's like, in the end, she's of course crying because this whole thing was terrifying and it was really extreme for her. But she's smiling, and just the last second of the film, she did it. I mean, she survived.
Yes,
that's the most important thing.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So you like a little bit of feel good.
Yes.
Film. It was also a coming of age film.
Yeah.
You could define that as. No, I thoroughly enjoyed the film. I thought it was extremely good. Tell me, you've now done 2 feature films. Both of them have been very successful. What's your third film?
Actually, it's already shot.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Right. What is it?
It's a strange thing because it's a kind of I like how to say that, adventures and taking a risk. So I thought about making film based on a script that was not my script. So I found a producer, and actually she found me, Joanna, because there was this big thing about Polish communism history. In 1985, there was this action, or however you call that, called Hyacinth, and it the thing was that the secret services, communists, however you call it, safety department, because that was the direct translation of the name, they were investigating homosexual people, and they caught and set those files to 11,000 homosexual people in Poland, and they were using it to have secret associates, or spies or whatever, because they were blackmailing them. This knowledge, because those people were hiding, and that's the story. And we also shot it with Piotr Sobociński, and we did something else this time, because the camera is still. We are not moving it. It's beautifully established. It's the light is beautiful, and it's a kind of a different thing, but I really like it. I mean, it's kind of a noir style, something like that, you can imagine.
Would you like to make any films in the English language?
Yes, of course. That was always my dream, actually.
Right.
And I'm step by step, I'm working on it. I mean, yes. I hope that someday it will happen.
Right. In fact, obviously, as I said, I know a little bit about the Polish film industry, and there are some very good Polish filmmakers coming on. People like Jan Komosa, who I know, and Szymowska, who's doing a lot of films. So there seems to be like a new wave of Polish filmmakers.
I think so. I mean, there is something, of course, the impact of Agnieszka Holland and Paweł Pawlikowski is really important, because they are our key to the international cinematography, because people at festivals, when they hear Poland and Polish cinematography, they think, oh yeah, there is a Pawlikowski, Holland. There can be something more even more or other interesting things there. And they are like, really focusing and searching our market. And this is very good. But yeah, I think that we have this kind of a new wave here, which is good. It's very competitive, but it's good.
It's good, and I think though that not enough is known about the Polish film industry, because Poland has had some great filmmakers like Piotr Domalewski, Agnieszka Holland, and so on. But still, it fights to get its space in the global market.
Yeah,
it's still a tough fight.
Yeah, it is.
Industry.
It is.
But no, I'm very impressed with some of the films. Tell me, who, as we're drawing to a close, who are the film directors that impressed you? Who are the film directors that you said, those are the ones?
Well, I like Ken Loach, of course. I had an honor to talk to him personally, because I was one of the cinematography journals from Poland. They asked me to make the special interview with him, and I was like, we had a conversation about an hour. But like the guy, the director who made the biggest impact on me, I mean the international, because I love Kieślowski from Polish directors. I love Kieślowski, but I also love Agnieszka Holland's film and Promised Land by Wajda. It's like, I think that's the best Polish film.
Yeah.
But from international directors, I really like Nuri Birge Ceylan. He's a Turkish director. I think you know some films of him. Once Upon a Time in Antalya, 3 Months, Uzak. He's doing something. I mean, I like those kind of directors that are making films. Of course, I like Farhadi, because they are making those films about the cultures that I'm completely unfamiliar with. And after watching the film, I think to myself, Turkey, okay, I kind of know what kind of country is that and how do people live there, because I watched one film.
Well, would you say that was the case with I Never Cry? Do you think people will? Yes.
Yeah, I always want to do that. I mean, I want somehow to make very Polish story, but to be as universal as it's possible for people, because we can make a cruel stories about people that ate their children or whatever, because those things happens, but they're happening all over the world. We can, how to say that, not made up, but we can choose this kind of picturing and describing this community and this country, but it's just a part of the truth. It's not the whole picture. So I always wanted to make films that are somehow giving a sense and a taste of the real condition of people here. That was my goal always. Yeah.
Well, certainly, I Never Cried did that. Said I watched it twice. It was a brilliant film. Just one final thing, just back to directors. In our program, we have a documentary by Kubrick, which is rare footage of an interview with Stanley Kubrick. Unfortunately, we're geo-blocked, so we're only in the UK, but if you have an opportunity to watch this documentary, I understand it's a documentary to watch. I would imagine Kubrick must have been one of your favorites as well.
Yeah, because he's so, how to say that? I mean, I would love to make films like him, but in my country and this particular moment, I'm kind of unable to. So it can be my dream, but from now on, my masters are people who are dealing the same obstacles as me, and they're succeeding. You can imagine. It's just,
Well, look, I appreciate your time. It's very kind.
Yeah, thank you very much.
When I'm in Warsaw, I will certainly call you, and we can maybe
You have to.
have a glass of something in person
We will.
once we get rid of all this pandemic. But Piotr Domalewski, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank
Very
you.
kind.
Thank you for having me there. It's an honor and it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.